And so now if you'll please join me in welcoming to the stage Oscar, Golden Globe, Emmy, and Grammy Award-winning music artist, actor, producer, and author, Common and Natalie Moore.
What's up, Chicago?
Peace, what's up, y'all?
We're about to have a very Southside conversation tonight.
Yes, sir.
So we are at Harold Washington Library. I first have to ask you, Common, what was your home library branch growing up?
Mine was the Avalon Public Library. Yeah. Right by Harold's Chicken over there on Stony Island. And I used to go in there. I would go in there. My mother would have me go there sometimes, while she had to go do things and work. I would go in there and do my homework. And I kind of appreciated, I really did appreciate that library. And we had some good people, librarians in there that embraced us and was encouraging to us. So I actually loved the library, that Avalon Library. Yeah, it was dope.
Well, guess what? My family and I just moved to Avalon Park last year, and that is our home branch as well.
Wow, love it.
Okay, so let's dig into the book and then we rise. I want to first ask you about your relationship with Maya Angelou and how she influenced you, because the title comes from one of her poems.
Yeah, well, Dr. Maya Angelou, she was one of the first writers that I remember being in grammar school, really paying attention to her writing. I loved her writing. I loved Nikki Giovanni. I loved Ralph Ellison. I loved Richard Wright. I loved Langston Hughes. And Maya Angelou is stuck with me for a long time. I can remember Still I Rise, Still I Rise. And, somewhere years later in my life, I was able to meet Dr. Angelou because my mother had reached out to her about her being a part of this foundation event that we were having, a benefit like that. This was even prior to her she actually came out to Chicago and was a part of our Common Ground Foundation, but how I first met her was through the meeting. My mother just basically called out of the blue, and Dr. Angelou didn't really know who Common was at the time, but her grandson did. So she allowed me to come meet with her in Harlem at her place, and we sat down and talked, and I was looking at all the art, and she was just talking to me about life. And it was one of those moments where I didn't know how long our relationship would last, the friendship. And I just took in that moment wait, I'm sitting here with Dr. Maya Angelou. And we ended up being friends. And she would invite me to her birthday parties, and I would freestyle at her parties. And, we could joke, but at the same token, she allowed me to go speak with her at Riverside Church in Harlem, and she included me in a lot of things where she actually did a poem on one of my albums. Now, her influence, just because it was a part of me, when I was writing this book, and then we rise, I was thinking of the title from a perspective of, I believe that love for self and taking care of self is a revolutionary act. It's you actually, when you're taking care of and loving yourself, you're actually helping and benefiting your community too, because the person that you'll go be in your family and in your community will actually inspire and influence others just by you living and being that person. So when I thought about the title, and then we rise, Maya Angelou's poem was always speaking about breaking through the system, still I rise, and valuing yourself. And I was basically saying, hey, and then we rise. When I value myself and love myself, I'm for surely better in my community, and I'm going against the system that is targeted towards keeping us in one place, keeping us oppressed, keeping us not knowing what our power is. So this was, for me, a title that was beautiful, but also revolutionary.
Your book is about self-care, and self-care has become a little bit of a catchphrase, and I think that there's a lot of capitalism behind it. We think it's just bubble baths or spa, wine, all things that are great. But self-care is something that is a lot deeper. So how do you define self-care for yourself and self-care for community?
Well, self-care was a word that I didn't hear growing up, and I don't think I really even was introduced to it or heard the word much until like my mid-20s, and just being around people. I was around like a community that was like, okay, we're gonna strive to eat healthier. I was around a community that was like, it was women that were empowering themselves, and they were also saying like, man, we're gonna take care of ourselves. And it was something me as a man was like, yeah, wait, I need to take care of myself too. And it's something that I really wanted to reinforce, and I put it in the title and speak about it because as men, we don't think about self-care as much. Like, that's not a term you hear men just sitting down like, yo, we need more self-care. You know, like you don't hear cats saying that to you. Self-care, you up on that self-care product? But it is deeper than a product. It's deeper than, you know, a massage, which is good, and a manicure, whatever. It's really about like paying attention to who you are and things that you aspire to be, and where you are emotionally, where you are physically, where you are mentally, and being able to tend to those things. Like, self-care is it has so many layers to it, and the reason why I broke it down into mind, body, soul, and food is because, like, I realized in self-care that if I'm exercising and doing that and I'm on it 5 days a week, killing it, but if my mind is not in the right space, then I'm not really truly able to take care of myself in a full way and reach my highest potential and actually like be at my best self. And if I got even that together, my mind, but my soul is still carrying some of the weight that I've experienced through traumas that I've been through in life and the traumas that we experienced just being in Chicago, like, man, I mean, I don't think of myself as an empath, but I mean, just today being in Chicago and hearing the news of 2 young men being shot, like that affected me.
At the school, right up the street.
That I was like, man, I you know, got to have something to not only care for them, but like, man, it affected me too. And I'm saying that to say, there's so many things that we're experiencing in our lives that you know can add to anxiety and add to some of the depression, and we don't even know it. But self-care is like being aware and saying, okay, I've just experienced these things, so let me figure out how to care for myself during this time. And that actually too is like, self-care actually happens too within conversations. Sometimes you get somebody, like, you having a conversation with somebody, they spewing out negative. You could care for yourself by just saying, hey, you know what? I really ain't in the mood to hear that right now. You know, like, that ain't what I'm on right now. Let me and just move from that. That's caring for yourself. And I think it's something that I wanted to I mean, people, you're right, it is something that is out in the public, but it's different coming from a black dude from Chicago that's telling you self-care is like, no, these are some of the things that I'm doing. These are some of the things that how we can care for ourselves. It ain't the same as coming from, you know, these companies now that are really like, yo, we really care about diversity and inclusion, and we really care about you. Like, it ain't the same as it's coming from me or some other woman or man.
And you being very open as a black man, talking about, go to therapy.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that I feel like that has benefited my life, and it's been one of the most impactful things in my life when it comes to self-care and self-love, has been therapy, and it's been one of those things that, you know, even still, when you say it, you feel like, damn, what people gonna think about me? But man, it's really what you think about yourself and how much you really wanna, like, how you wanna treat yourself and how you wanna live this life while you have this breath. And do you wanna, like, live it in the happiest way? Because I do know that the Creator created us to, like, have dominion on the planet and to be in, like, grace and happiness and joy and light and peace. But, you know, we experience the world, so we got to have things to combat that. And therapy was one of those things that, you know, of course we didn't hear that growing up. And if we did, it was like, yo, you know, such and such go to a psychiatrist. Oh, man. Yo, don't be around that person. They crazy. But, you know, once you experience something, and for me, I'm the type of person that's like, if I find myself doing something over and over that's not productive, I'm gonna do my best to try to get out of that cycle. You know, Jonathan McReynolds sang about cycles, and I don't want to be in that cycle. And I'm like, yo, this ain't feeling good. So I try to seek out what's going to benefit me and get me up out of that hole. And I was fortunate just through natural life that I was trying to, like, actually get a place in New York at the time, in Brooklyn in 2003, and my realtor at the time, who's not my realtor now, Mo is my realtor now. So, yeah, but you know, but my realtor at the time, she was a therapist too, and I was going through some things, like I was going through a heavy breakup, and just, man, I was in a dark place. People was joking, not only joking, but people was like, man, we don't want to hear from Common no more after Electric Circus. And I was like, you know, really trying to figure out where I'm going to be in life. And just, we looking at homes, and she talking to me, and she listening to me, and she was like, you know what, you need some therapy. And I'm like, really? And she like, yeah. And even our talks was already, like, kind of comforting to me, because it was, you know, it just was what she knew, what I was experiencing, and knew how to identify it. And she would tell me things that I hadn't heard that language before, and it started to resonate with me. So she was like, yo, let's do some therapy sessions. And I did them, and I felt different. I felt like, oh man, I'm really tending to myself. This is some things that I didn't know that I was dealing with. And that didn't stop there. That was 2003. It's times I've been in therapy in 2017, and I'm like, what? I'm still doing that? and you know, you kind of just use it to identify things so that you could be better. This whole, for me, is like, man, how can I be a better me? Like a better father, a better friend, a better partner, a better MC, better child of God. So it's like, therapy is one of the things that has benefited me, so that's why I talk about it.
For the record, I love Electric Circus.
Her and 3 other people.
You know what? History will judge it better than the source did at the time.
I don't like it.
So the book is divided into 4 sections, and you hit on the 4 pillars. Can you talk about those 4 sections and the people you introduced the reader to along the way?
Well, yeah, I wanted to make this book more, it's not a memoir, and it's not like, yo, this is me, it's more like, hey, these are some of the things that I did, and these are some of the people that helped me to get to this place. And this is actually why, you know, I just gave stories and anecdotes on why I even knew what vegetarian was. It was because of KRS-One. I'm listening to KRS all the time, and he's saying, an intelligent brown man, a vegetarian, no goat or ham, or chicken or turkey or hamburger, because to me that suicide is self-murder. Now I'm rapping these words, but not really taking it in, because I'm still eating Leon's barbecue, and I love Harold. So, but at some point or another, I'm like, okay, I actually am about to release this album, and I gotta be at my best, because it's a lot of artists out there, and I don't know like what it takes to make it in this industry. And I was around brothers like No ID, Dion, and Tone, who were already conscious about their eating, because they had been around the Nation of Islam, and they had been around people who were aware. So even at the time when they were talking to me about food and stuff like that, I might have been a little resistant just to be resistant. You know, sometimes we just don't want to do something new, or don't want to allow the person that's bringing it to us to feel like they're doing something new for us. So I was at that stage. But then I remember the moment of crossing. We was in LA, and I was crossing the street with them. We'd come from this diner. I'd just been eating pork chops and everything, and I was like, you know what? I really do want better for myself. So it ain't even about who told me and this and that. I want better. So I started making that type of step. That was a step. Like, let me remove pork from my diet. And eventually I started seeing how I felt, and I started feeling better. And eventually I was like, well, what else can I do to build? And I started doing other things, like I removed beef for a second, and then I felt clearer and lighter. And I tried to eat beef like 3 weeks later, and I remember waking up that day feeling heavy and just like, man, emotionally heavy. Not only physically heavy, but emotionally heavy. And I was like, well, I don't need to read another book about this. My body just told me what I need to know. And that was my food quest. But then, you know, at the same token, I was already working. Spirituality was something that I've been grounded in because of my mother making sure I was going to church, and then me also hearing about other spiritual practices like Islam because of rap, and being around the Nation was here. So I was a seeker in spirituality. That was better in my soul no matter what. But what I didn't know was sometimes to get to the clearest part of my soul and the clearest part of my mind, I had to be doing things for my body, meaning like putting better things in my body. Because if I'm like just like going to church and then coming home and putting bad gas in my car, like it just ain't, I ain't even gonna be able to act out that word that I just got that Sunday, you know? So that's what I felt like when I started changing my diet too. And then the mind was, you know, Dr. Tracy Rico, who I talked about, not talked about, she talks in the book, and who I wanted to make sure I shared a lot of her wisdom with. She's an integrative medicine doctor, meaning she studied Western medicine and Eastern medicine, and believes in healing is not just only a prescription or only just a natural homeopathic thing, but it's a thing that takes also emotional healing and mental healing. And with me knowing those things, I realized that I couldn't get just one aspect of myself together without working on the others. But the beautiful thing was, because food is it's the most addictive thing we have here in America, is food, like, and I love food. I love going out to eat dinner. I'm an advocate for us having good foods and good meals together. That's communion with each other. But the foods that are around us and served in our communities, and just in America itself, I ain't even gonna just say only in black areas, it's just not conducive to us being the healthiest and the best we can be. And when I saw that, man, this food, along with me getting my mind together, because when I was disciplining myself with food, I was able to like discipline myself with like drinking less if I wanted to, or actually disciplining myself with putting myself to work more, because it was like I was really fighting the addiction of food that was like strong. So once I was able to do that, I was like, man, I can get these other areas of myself together. And I just wanted to put those 4 pillars because I knew that I want us to have the holistic thing together, not just one aspect. But if we take one step, which is what I did, just took one step, then the other steps may start to come. And it's really about, it ain't like, oh, the way Rashid do it has got to be the way you do it. Vegetarian is not for everybody. Vegan is not for everybody. Meditation might not even be for everybody. Like, it's like, when I talk about meditating, man, I do that thing about 2 minutes a day. It ain't like I'm sitting there like for hours just on some Buddha, like, you know, like you expect. I'm just closing my eyes, breathing, and focusing on what I need for the day. Just paying attention to your breath is something that's acknowledging the God in you. So you figure out the ways that you can like nurture your mind, your body, and your soul. And the foods, no matter what, across the board are going to add on to that path and towards your elevation. And I felt like I wanted to share the people, like Yancey Berry, who's a trainer I've used in my life, physical trainer. Susan Schilling, who's a therapist that I work with. I wanted to share Pastor Teray, because he's a spiritual leader that I've listened to and like the way he speaks when it comes to practical living. I'm not a religious type of dude as much as I am just a believer in God and building that relationship with God. So I liked his approach. So I felt like, because I'm not the expert. I'm just an example and trying to share the things that I've learned and experienced. But I really wanted you all to have access to some of the people who studied this, who lived this in different ways than I have. So that's why I put them in the book. It's my way of sharing. And this book it's an easy read. It's not like I said, it's not even meant to be heavy. It's bright. It's got, it's joy in the book. What'd you say?
You got some recipes.
Yeah, recipes and like music playlists to work out to. And, I wanted to bring some joy. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff, and that's just what it is. We in this election year, it's going to be a lot of things we dealing with. So whatever ways we can find our joy, and we are entitled to joy, then I wanted to share that.
You're right. It's not a memoir, but after reading it, I do think the reader will come to know you in a different way than just the persona on stage. And what I walked away with, one of the things I walked away with is that you are incredibly disciplined. Do you miss Harold's? A 4-piece, fried hard, with mild sauce.
Yeah, of course I miss Harold's. I mean, it's not every day I'm thinking about, Harold's, where are you? But, it's times when somebody eating it, I'm like, damn. The French fries, let me get some more.
The French fries are vegan.
Yeah, I guess they probably are. But, I'm down with, and I think it's balanced anyway. Like, I'm not even, like, I made a choice for my life that works for me, but it's balanced at the end of the day. And I could joke about it, and that's, but the truth is you're going to be tempted with certain things, and times you might even like fall off or revert back to some things, but that's another thing. I ain't like, beat yourself up for it. You ain't, you ain't go like do the worst thing in life because you ate some Harold's. Like, come on. I mean, like you ate, but it's like, okay, what are you doing on a daily? What are you doing weekly? Like this benefiting, because if you're only doing that, then you're not really doing, the things that can basically be preventative and like allow us to think about old age and be like, man, I'm about to be moving around fresh when I'm in my 80s, and that can happen. Like one of the things I love about Dr. Tracy Rico, she always talks about like, why you got to think about yourself as being old, like you're going to be like walking around moving slow. Like if you take care of yourself the way you plan to, God willing, you could be like going around, you could be hooping in your 80s. I mean, maybe not, but
maybe pickleball.
Yeah, but I mean, the truth is, I've seen different artists, like, and I mean, as artists, but I've seen different elders really be in a healthy state in their older age, and I think it comes with us, like, paying attention now, like, and it ain't never too late to do that. And like, I think, I've witnessed people. I know someone from Chicago, like, who is like family, who was dealing with lupus, and at one point she thought she was close to death, and her doctor, who had been working with her, giving her the prescriptions and everything, said, you know what I need you to do? I need you to eat raw for a month. Eat raw foods. That means non-cooked foods for a month. And she ate the foods, and in 3 weeks, they could barely detect her lupus, and she's living and she's well. I can give you another story about mental health, where this woman I just was working with was telling me how her daughter was diagnosed with depression, and they took her to the psychiatrist. Psychiatrist put her on like four meds that would help her to get over depression. She took the meds. The meds made her numb. She said, "Ma, I'd rather feel the depression than what I'm feeling now." Her mother was praying on it. Her mother went to see a natural, holistic person, and the person told her, "I want you to go to a doctor and check, because she may be low in vitamin D and she may be low in iron." And they went to the doctor. The doctor said, "Yo," she didn't even say nothing about she didn't go to the doctor and say, "Hey, is my daughter low in vitamin D?" The doctor just diagnosed her, "Yo, she need more vitamin D, she need more iron." The young lady started taking it. She was no longer in that state of depression. That didn't mean she had no issues, but she was removed from the state of depression just by taking vitamins. Like, think about, nobody taught us that growing up. Nobody even talks about it. Well, I ain't gonna say nobody, but it's not like what's being advertised to us on a daily. When I watch the Jennifer Hudson show, the commercials in between is like, take these drugs, take this. For real. When I watch ESPN, the commercials in between is like, take this drug, take this. Like, we don't talk about like holistic healing and preventative methods, like, because it's a big business. It's a big business, prescriptions and what the medical world does. And I'm not anti-Western medicine, let me say that, because when it get down to it, my cold lasts for like 3 weeks. I'll be like, give me that Z-Pack real quick. I done tried I done tried my oil of oregano for 3 weeks. And my zinc and my vitamin C. But I mean, I just think it's a way to be attentive to yourself and know, every time you get sick, you don't have to go to the drugs. Because your immune system is something that you want to build up and develop, because it actually will fight off for you. It'll work for you. And we just figuring out ways to help it to work for us.
We've seen a lot of hip hop artists die from different diseases or health challenges. I think about Truck of De La, Fife, Prince Markie D, Biz Markie. Have those deaths had an impact on you? And there are a lot of 50-something-year-old rappers now. Like, y'all got a group chat or, talking about, are you leading them to the way? Like, hey, we need to think about our health, guys.
Well, I don't think, in hip hop, I'm for surely not the first dude to be up on health, and it's dudes in between that you wouldn't even think. Like, my man Styles P opened up a juice bar in Brooklyn. Like, a lot of cats be aware. The thing I think we missed in hip hop was that speaking of health, we didn't establish a union that would have allowed hip hop artists to have health benefits.
Right.
And that's one of those things where, Fife, God bless his soul, was dealing with diabetes since he was young. So the benefits of having the health, free health care would be amazing. And that's what you get sometimes. I got it as an actor, but we don't have that in the hip hop culture in the music. And I think that's what I think about most when I think about some of the hip hop artists that we've lost. And I also think about the stress. One thing that my mother would always say to me is, you're going to stress yourself into being sick. And I think about the stresses that it is to just try to exist when you come out and you're a popular artist, and then you're trying to survive in this industry, and then you got to go work a regular job, and people are like, hey, ain't you that person that used to rhyme and da-da-da, and just dealing with that in itself and is something. And I think I think about those things when it comes to us being, aware of health and in hip hop.
And so I mentioned how disciplined you are, but sometimes our strengths can also be our weaknesses, because there was a point where you weren't even taking vacations. Yeah. And you were very hard on yourself when you took a Broadway role. How did you, stay disciplined but also give yourself grace?
Well, I mean, I think that has been the thing that took some time to learn, and one of those things I consistently have to work on and had to work on, because, when you are in the world, you like, okay, I want to take care of myself, take care of my family. I got to get it while it's here. I got to grind. That's what we do. And that's what America also is about. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but then it's not a balanced thing in many ways. And to not actually take time just to yourself, or take time to go enjoy your family, or take time to go vacation, you're not doing yourself the best. You're not giving yourself the full spectrum of what life actually can bring you. And I didn't know, like, taking this little time off is going to actually help me when I get back to work. But I just knew I needed to grind. I think I talk about it in the book. I was sitting down, with Nas and Jay-Z. We were having like a wine. I think it was Nas's birthday. And I was telling them that I don't take vacations, and Jay-Z was looking at me like, what? You tripping, bro? Like, I don't know, like, that ain't, you think that's fresh? No, that ain't fresh. And I was thinking like, well, I was saying like, yeah, I don't be on them vacations, man, I'm working. And he like, man, let me show you where I went to. And, and that being said, you look at somebody that's successful, and you realize like the wisdom that he can give you. And I was like, you know what? I need to think about it from a different perspective. This is somebody that has come through the trenches and has excelled at a high level when it comes to success and finance. And I was like, so it ain't grind all the time. But, the reason why I say in America, this is what it is, because I've spent a lot of time in London, as of late, like filming Silo, which is on Apple TV, so check it out. No, but listen, I spent a lot of time out there, and I was like around people who were like saying, man, I'm about to take holiday. And I'll be, I stay what they call vacation. I'm gonna take holiday, and I would say like, how can this person take holiday when like they working on the crew? I mean, just to put it blank, I'm making more money than they are, and they gonna take a month off, and I can't take this month off. And I just started realizing they were just taking authority with their lives, being like, you know what? My rent is paid for this amount of time. I need this time for myself. And they just practiced it. Even when I was in Italy and they got that siesta afternoon takeoff, you like, damn, y'all just taking the afternoon off? Like, I was trying to come eat at this restaurant and y'all closed? They like, nah, we ain't doing all that work y'all doing over there. And they good. And so, I mean, I did learn discipline is not just like, okay, work, and I'm not going. Discipline comes in like in different ways. Like you can also say, man, I'm not going to, discipline can be like, I'm not going to wake up in the morning and first look at my phone and look at what's going on in social media. That's discipline too, because we want to do it, but we can choose not to. And discipline is also saying, you know what, I'm gonna take some time to take this vacation. That has to do with discipline.
Speaking of London, when you were there, tell us a story about how you felt lighter and then you realized what was going on. And after you tell that story, I would love for you to tell us what freedom means to you. Well,
the story I tell is about being in London and I actually was staying at this hotel that was my residence for a minute, and I came out of the hotel, and one of the brothers who worked at the hotel was like, "Yo, don't go down that block. Somebody got a gun down there." And he was like, "I don't understand this, man. Like, he got a gun. We don't have guns out here. Like, this is crazy. Like, this person has a gun." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "No, we don't like have guns out here like that. And this what could be going on if this person got a gun?" And it had hit me like, wait, these people, they don't have guns out here like that. And then I went on to conversate more with him or talk more with him, and he was like, the police officers don't have guns. And I started looking at the police officers, and I was like, yo, they don't have guns. The police officers. And I was like, I didn't know why I was just falling in love with London so much, or, like why I just was feeling like, life is good. Like, I was in London just feeling like, man, I was in heaven. But part of it was the fact that, man, I was not feeling threatened physically with guns. And it was a weight off of my shoulders. It was a weight off of my back, a weight off of my brain. And what made me realize that it was what we do here is the first person I saw when I landed from London at customs, he had his gun. And I was like, damn, this is how we don't have to live, but this is how we've been living over here. And then I was just thinking, like, because being over there when I was over there, it had been some school shootings here. And I was like, this don't even exist in other countries. Like school shootings? And I was like, we can do better. Like, I'm not saying that, like, people can't have, like, whatever guns, because my security carry guns. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, I'm saying that it's not, it doesn't have to be our way of life. And I really think we can figure out a way where we just don't accept that this is how we have to live. And it's not normal because it's not taking place in so many other countries. And it's something to see a city that's thriving so well. London is a dope city. They got all of, like, this one of the freshest places, and they don't have to have that. And I don't know, I can't even sit and say how they came, like, how did that come up where they was like, our police officers not gonna have guns, but they don't have them. It's only a select few, like the special that have it. And I just, it struck me, and also I was feeling like, kind of, I understood what James Baldwin and Nina Simone and some of the people who had went abroad and was like, man, being black in the world is different than black in America, because you just I didn't feel the direct, like, hatred of that. I'm not saying no prejudice didn't exist. I'm not going to, like, create some fairy world or whatever, but it wasn't like, man, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to take you off this planet because you black. And that's the only reason I'm going to take you off this planet is because you black. I just didn't feel that. So that was something that was almost like a mental relief for that period, an emotional relief.
All right, you're hosting a dinner party at your house. What are you serving? What's the vibe? What's the playlist?
Well, first of all, I'm one, when I host a dinner party, I want everybody to enjoy themselves. So even if I'm vegan, I'm not going to only have vegan dishes available. What I would serve, knowing the people that would be coming, I probably would have some good, chicken there. Some good, knowing the people that's coming. And I would have some good fish. I would have some good vegan options. I would have some good vegetables. I have great desserts. I would actually usually like to have a cool DJ there if I'm really trying to do it the way I love to do it. and that DJ could be Twilight Tone or DJ Dummy. Who else? I thought you said something. Yeah, I mean, I just like having a good DJ there. And, you know, sometimes I got friends that can DJ good. Sometimes they mediocre. Sometimes they great.
Are you looking at the front row at somebody?
I ain't gonna say no name. Exceptional realtor. I mean, go buy property from them, but DJing, it varies. It just varies, you know. And some DJs won't get off the turntables. But I won't mention any names on that either. So,
What music is exciting you right now?
90s hip hop and R&B. What I found out during the pandemic was because it was like, I mean, a lot of those moments I was with myself, and I was like, what do I want to hear? What do I want to play? I'm not riding the car with nobody, and I'm with the millennials, so I got to find out something that we all can listen to. I'm not playing it to please anybody. It's just, what do I want to hear? And I went back to that 90s hip hop and R&B, and man, it fed my soul so well. That's why I put so much of that on the playlist, and I realized how timeless it is, and like, I'm grateful that the younger generation is treating that like the 70s music, the way we did the 70s music. They going back checking that music out, because there's some rich music in there, and the music that has the love. So I'm listening to that, you know, whether it's Gangstar, Tribe Called Quest. So happy that De La Soul is on streaming services now. Always KRS, and you know, Black Moon. I go deep into some of it. I'll listen to remixes that Tribe did, like with Busta, like of Scenario. But then, you know, I also love jazz, and I love gospel music too. So I'll keep consistent with a Tasha Cobbs song or William Murphy. And then, you know, when I need my jazz, I'm listening to Coltrane and Herbie Hancock and Miles Davis. So I keep a variety. It just depends on the moods and modes I'm in. But that's some of the music that I've been listening to. And of course, Pete Rock and CL Smooth too.
That's the perfect segue into my next question, because I saw on your Insta that you are in the studio with Pete Rock. Is there an album coming? Can you drop a bar?
Yeah, so I'm working on an album with Pete Rock, and I'm one person is excited.
The whole room is excited.
No. Listen. I'm super geeked about it. It's like that 50 years celebration of hip hop really made me recognize that it's an audience out there that wants that hip hop. They yearn for just hip, and it's not like, oh, we need to go back to the past. It's just about creating music that has that love and that spirit and that energy of what that late 80s, 90s hip hop had to it. And that was like an innocence, a love in the music that Pete Rock just possesses. So this music that we creating and that I possess, because we love the art, we doing it for the love of the music, and we want to touch hearts and souls. And it's like now I can do it and not be like, okay, I got to be on the radio and do this it's none of that. It's just like, yo, come with the music that you love, and come with some bars. And I got geeked up because I was around a lot of the hip hop, and I was watching at Yankee Stadium, watching every artist on that stage. I sat in the crowd and watched for like 5.5 hours all these artists. I was at the LL concert, not only performing, but get off stage and watch Rakim and LL perform, and Queen Latifah, and be celebrating this culture. So, you know, for me, I jam on anything I am on. About to blow like I'm trying to keep my hands warm. God MC, I came in a man's form. When I return to dust, it'll be a sandstorm. Tell the people the master got plans for 'em. Pour a little liquor when I know my man's gone. Over bars, I'm never tender. With love, I force MDs to surrender. Ancient remedies that my gramps would remember. What I rely on, I'm a king like Simba, the people's agenda in my heart. Serve rappers a la carte. You playing yourself, you should have never got the part. This is hip hop theater. In broad ways, I reflect over meters of music. I'm the man, I'm the meteor. Landed on the planet like the rock of Gibraltar. My altar call is the call to never alter. Ain't shit sweet, I'm the salt of the earth. Since the birth of the nation of Islam, that taught me to eat to live and to get calm. We keep shit fluid like it's M-bomb. 88 set them straight like I'm Lynn Swan. It's pentatonic the way that I be bending phonics. It was written like I'm living in a sonnet. They marvel at me like I'm in a comic. Iron sharpens iron, man, it's ironic.
All right.
Okay, check it out. I'm gonna try to remember this one. She knew me from this is got a little, where the kids at? Cover up little Zola ears. But this
Zola
adult,
hears her mama curse,
this
she all right.
This adults. This is adults. She knew me from the city. She knew I was witty. She knew I had power and maybe some sense like Fitty. She had a couple of cats, I was trying to get the kitty. And if I touched down, I just might do the gritty. This just in. I've been on my Jeffersons bussin' raps. Rappers, she said she didn't trust them and really didn't trust men. I guess we on the cusp then. Go get your Moscow and we don't have to rush in. Wait, go get your Moscow and we don't have to rush in. Ukraine's in the sky. I need y'all to hear that bar. Go get your Moscow and you don't have to rush in. Ukraine's in the sky, disdain in the eye that came from another guy. I ain't the other guy. I want to love you the way I love the shy. She showed me her ex. I ain't have to wonder why. I ain't go down no other nigga. Yo, that's goof troop shit. I ain't go down no other nigga. Yo, that's goof troop shit. Let's stand on today so we can loop it. And I said, I ain't go down no other nigga. Yo, that's goof troop shit. Let's sample the day so we can loop it. Filter the worst and take the best parts. There's power in the now, just like Eckhart. Life can take a toll on you. If we fall in love, I'll be holding you up. Watch this rap nigga get all up in your mind. You like ice cream, I like wine, we both refine. Forget the red carpet, our stars align. Forever is where we are in time. This ain't foreplay. I see you on your grind. You mean the world to me. Of course the world is mine. I'm from Chicago. Come and talk to me. You got me fiending. I want the average Joe to see. Come on now, look. I'm from Chicago. Come and talk to me. You got me fiending. I want the average Joe to see. You my lady forever. Or maybe just tonight. We could be crazy in love, cause shit is crazy in life. It's crazy when I met you, I knew that I would get you. I said my name is Common and you are extra special. I'ma hold you down and never will I let you. If we play our cards right, we'll be alright, I bet you. Wait a minute, I stayed on Bennett and I've been it. I wanna give it all cause it's coming out soon.
All right.
Real rap, y'all, real hip hop, baby. Let's go.
Before I let you go, I think you know what I'm gonna ask you. Chicago is rooting for a certain South Side couple. Can you share anything about you and, you mentioned her TV show. So I thought that it's only right.
You thought I was opening the doors up for that?
You opened the door. I mean, I was gonna keep the door open anyway, but what's up with you and Jennifer?
I was just celebrating greatness when I mentioned her show, but I mean, listen, I mean, we were on her show expressing who we are, and we felt that was like a sacred place. It's a sacred partnership. So it's like, for me, I never like really would like to be like, let me put this out for display and talk about this, because the purity and truth in that partnership is not based on public consumption. So I'm like, I try to do my best to keep things as sacred and private and respectful as possible, but just in celebration of who she is, I feel like I always want to honor her and respect her. And like, man, we got somebody from where we come from that has affected the world in a great way, like in a real beautiful and positive way. And along with, you know, the awards that she's achieved and the things, you know, having her own talk show and coming, you know, I'll be like, man, that ain't no joke. You come from Inglewood and to take it to the level you've taken it to, that's no joke. Like, so I kind of, you know, more than anything, feel like, man, it's somebody in my personal life, I'm gonna do my duty, but we could continue to hold up and celebrate and respect and support and look, and more than anything, like just public of what she is, just the type of human being is, to me, like, man, we got somebody who is very precious as a human being and can be a light just by the way she lives her life. So I honor that and say that, you know. And
We accept it and we're rooting.
Okay,
so.
Thank you.
Common, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you to the audience for being engaged, and thanks Chicago Public Library for doing dope events like this.
Yes, thank you, Chicago Public Library.
All right, one more
Respect
time.
and God bless. Harold Washington.
Common and Natalie Moore.
Thank you, Natalie. Great work.
Thank you all so much for being here. Tonight's event was live streamed. It's also available on the YouTube channel. So if you have a friend who missed it, tell them to watch it on YouTube. We're going to start the book signing in just a couple of minutes, and you're going to get some instructions in just